that is a constitutional right of privacy balancing with a constitutional right to have a good and full defense. And the legislature came up with this process, and 5 years is the line. The 5 years isn't, it doesn't wipe the whole record. If there was a personnel action, for instance, if something were sustained and the person were demoted, or the person were in any way disciplined, the disciplinary record still sits. These are only throwing out citizen complaints, by the way, most of which are way off base, and internal affairs that are basically a lot of times generated by a citizen complaint that then leads to an internal investigation. These are not anything that have to do with current disciplinary issues, that we can't use them. They have nothing to do with getting rid of bad employees. That's already been done. These have to do with getting rid of records that just confuse the system, that have a basis in law for getting rid of. But by the way, which even though I trust the chief and his staff to do a really good job, I go through every one of these records from start to finish. And if there was anything in there that was usable, anything that had to do with a current pending matter, that would be bounced back. And the chief will tell you, I've bounced a couple of these back for various reasons. These are of no value to the city, and that's why, or the town, and that's why we suggest that they be taken out of the file and shredded.
Well, I can understand why we want to get them taken out. I guess the concern at the time was, there might be a pattern that was, substantiated, something that's on the edge. But it's not a question of trust or belief that you say that they're right. It's more a question of a public perception, because when we brought it up in February, well, two things happened. First off, as you know, there were several residents, a handful of residents, that were in the outcry. But there was a question of, they're still employed, really, maybe it's a matter of trust, and so, but we did discuss it. But I thought at the time, actually, that we'd set a policy, but maybe we didn't, but I thought that we did say that we wouldn't get rid of records that for employees that weren't there. I realize, but it's not a question of anything. Chief, I started out the whole conversation saying this whole situation at that time was 100% different, as you know. There were allegations by people about things, and and you came and you fixed all that. So it's not please don't take my question inappropriately, but I understand also the 5-year thing, and I can understand why perhaps legislation gets passed up in Sacramento, which is heavily influenced by perhaps represented groups, because if these things are out, then if there's ever a grievance, you don't have these things in the record, and of course, that's to their benefit, so that there's not something in the record if there's a grievance. You can't go back because everything's destroyed. So, and in the non-public sector, obviously, once something goes in your file, it doesn't come out. So that's the only reason I bring that up from that perspective. But don't let that fall on you, but please.
In the non-public sector, nobody has a right to see your personnel file.
Yeah.
And if I could come in and see your personnel file and find something embarrassing that you had done and drag it through the press or through the court system, I think you might understand why the police officers had the legislation was in there that said, okay, look, if you're a bad cop and you've got a history of doing this, we're going to find out about it in 5 years. And that's going to be something that's discoverable to criminal defendants and put on the trial, or put on the, there's a crisis in the back there.
Yeah, we don't want to have that.
But it's going to be known, and that police officer's record is then going to be utilized by the defense. That's why after 5 years, look, when somebody was a rookie and maybe they fell asleep in their car one night, that had profound impacts on their career for 4 or 5 years.
I understand.
But 15 years later, you wouldn't want that to be brought up and confuse.
Bill, I understand.
A court.
I understand. My only suggestion would be, look, I'm I'm 100% in favor. If you want to, if we all feel to destroy the records, that's fine. I would suggest that perhaps staff consider this different categorization and maybe have some sort of grading thing as opposed to just a clear 5-year, just so, we're easing into it as opposed to just doing it. It's just a suggestion. We don't want to ever have any sort of request or situation, much like they had at the Harbor District, where they were destroying all sorts of records because it was 5 years, but they were very pertinent records. So anyway, that's thank you for your explanation, and Bill, as always, thank you for the very much detailed discussion.
Any other questions from council members? Seeing no questions from council members, I'm going to go ahead and ask to see if there's any comments from the public on this item. Please step up. Thank you all.
Oversleeve, 227 Catalpa Drive. When I saw this item on the agenda yesterday, I had the same feeling as Mr. Whitmer did. However, if what you're saying, Mr. Connors, is correct, that if it has been proven or there is something in the record which says the police or whoever it is has done something wrong, I certainly don't want that to be removed. Maybe I've spent too much time in front of television programs where they've been able to go back and find something that was really relevant. And I think it's important for us not to just, and I don't have any sense that Chief Flynn is going to do this, but we do need to have a further check. And if you're looking at these things and using your judgment on the Constitution and what's relevant and what might not be relevant, I think we're probably okay. But it did concern me that we were destroying things after.
And no, we're not destroying their whole personnel file. We're destroying complaints that are put in there, the vast majority of which are almost silly, irrelevant, usually somebody that just had their feelings hurt, but they file a complaint and we go through the whole process. The ones that, as Chief pointed out, the ones that are sustained, those are viewed by the department as serious, need to fix, need to repair. If they don't repair, you won't see them again because those people will be gone. But if they do have a tendency to repeat, then we have a problem and we need to fix it. And that will be fixed way before 5 years. And if it's not fixed by 5 years, then we've got a real leadership problem somewhere.
You are taking the optimistic view here. I mean, certainly you do read of people that go on and on and on. I mean, I shouldn't raise this. I mean, the Catholic priests are a good example of this, okay? So anyways, we don't want to talk about that. Thank you very much.
I've probably done 200 pitches motions having to do with peace officers' records. And I will tell you, I consider myself to be really well versed on what are in these complaint files. And if there was anything in there that I thought was favorable or could serve the city in even the tiniest way, I would never allow it to be destroyed. There isn't any of that in this.
Please, go ahead,
A
George.
quick question for the city attorney, I know the answer, but I'm just going to ask it for the benefit. If there is a citizen complaint about an officer and that complaint is sustained and the officer has done something improper and there's disciplinary action, is that ever destroyed?
No.
Thank you. Okay.
The citizen complaint is destroyed, but the discipline itself is never destroyed, including the basis for it.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Seeing no comments from the public, bring it back to council. Final comments.
I've already made my comment. Thank you.
I like that. Call for motion.
That council adopts the resolution authorizing the destruction of records pursuant to Government Code Section 34090.
I will cautiously second it.
You want that verbatim?
Any-
Cautiously
No.
verbatim?
Please,
It's written in the minutes.
right next to that. So any further comments by council? Seeing none, let's call the vote. Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. That's it. So let me move on to item number 22, council reports. Any comments from any council members on their council reports?
It's not 22.
It's 24.
On my book, it is.
It's
Yeah,
20.
this number.
It's the old 22, not the new 22.
All right, we're gonna do the altered 24, which used to be 22. Let's go ahead and take 24. Any comments or anything from council members?
I have a couple.
Please.
I do not have a council report, but I do want to make a couple announcements. I've been very busy. I don't know if everybody can see this, but on April 19th in the park, where the Atherton Dames is holding their annual Easter egg hunt, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we have flyers, family fun, Gerald the Magician, face painting by Joanna and Gigi, photos with the Easter Bunny, and you meet your mayor. So bring your kids, it's going to be fun. So that's one of the things I've been working on.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you very, I had a wonderful job on that, by the way.
Thank you. The other thing is, does everybody know about Fox Theater in Redwood City? I'm currently one of their new board members of the Broadway by the Bay. And Broadway by the Bay is a 49-year-old theater production company in the Bay Area. And they are making the Fox Theater in Redwood City their permanent home. They've been there for 3 years now, and they've decided to do that. Starting March 28th, there's Evita, and then in June, In the Heights, Dream Girls, and Anything Goes. They're putting on 4, world-class productions, and the venue is stellar, and it is a great bargain. For 4 tickets, it's $172 for the season.
And if
That's
you bring your
amazing.
ticket from today's meeting, that you get a discount.
Yes, if you buy your ticket, your subscription for the season now,
There's a reduction.
I can give you 10% off. No, I can't do that. But anyway, I just want to make everybody aware. It's really a great organization. Yeah. Okay.
Any other council members would like to make a comment on their council reports?
Oh, you mean the ones that are actually written in the
Those
report?
2, we're good.
No, I'm
Any
okay,
other
thank
council
you.
members?
Public comment.
Any public comments related to our wonderful, sorry, Greg, I'm trying to get to you. Our council reports, seeing none, closing public comment. Any other comments related to that? Thank you, council members, seeing none. Future agenda items, we've already dealt with that. Greg, final public comments, please. Number 24 on this agenda, which is probably 26, so we'll go with it.
Greg Conlon, 43 Virginia. Tomorrow night, the rail committee is going to meet on the electrification of Caltrans, which is the biggest event that's happened on this railroad in 50 years. They're going to spend $1.5 billion tearing up the entire right-of-way. So to put in 50-foot towers with wires and all kinds of goodies. So those comments are due April 29th. I'm sure tomorrow night, I assume you'll be there, Mayor, and carry them on. Because that's, I think if you have to have a special meeting, because if it's dramatic, and I don't know what it is, I haven't had a chance to look at it, it's 300 pages, I think. So, I just want to bring it up so that you realize there's a possibility you may need a special meeting to deal with the comments that we make, because I'm sure they'll be voluminous. And, because Jack Ringham's heading up the effort, and he'll do a thorough job,
Yeah.
so, just for the record.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Greg, for waiting. Walter, please.
I don't have anything.
Thank you.
I-
That's all right. I just had number 24. It was a hot item, so I figured I'd let you have that opportunity. And seeing no more public comments, we're going to go ahead and close public comments. We're going to go ahead and go to item number 25 on this agenda, which is probably item number 27. Motion to adjourn. Thank you, everybody, for attendance. I apologize for the